Welcome to Calculations, the talk show. I'm Gary Johnson. Have a special guest, Mary Caldwell, the wife of singer Bobby Caldwell. As a matter of fact, I call Bobby more than a singer, a crooner. This guy was a crooner. And so I guess Bobby, at least in my mind, is probably most famous for the song, What You Won't Do for Love. And a lot of people thought he was Black until they saw that video. So Mary, welcome to the show. Let's talk about Bobby and let's talk about you as well.
Oh, thanks, Gary.
Hey, last week marked 1 year since Bobby's passing, and I know you had a celebration at the house. How did it go?
It went really great. Bobby's #1 fan from Japan flew in. This fella flew in for Bobby's funeral service a year ago, and he came in. His keyboard player came in from Los Angeles. His Philly horn player and another keyboard guy came up from Philly. And we had a lot of friends, like about, I don't know, 40 people here. And it was really nice. My daughter made t-shirts and everybody got fedoras, and we ate and had some cocktails and another jam session here in Bobby's studio. So it was good. It was a day that I would have spent crying. Truly, I would have sat here and cried, but I said, well, let's not cry. Let's do something uplifting. And that's what we did. And it was the third jam session we've had for Bobby. We had one in November in Los Angeles at his sister's house. A lot of guys came and played in the living room. Then we had another one here, New Year's, when another fan from Japan came in. And so we're just going to keep doing it.
Wow. Was one of those folks that showed up Greg Games? Was he
It
one?
was in Los Angeles.
The
Yeah, Greg.
musical director, Greg. Wow.
Yeah,
Man.
he was Michael Jackson's right-hand man.
Yep.
He's worked with so many artists. He's talent beyond and a
Oh,
lot of fun.
that's why I said the musical director is musical director, Greg Games. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
let's turn the clock back several years when Bobby was out touring. And if I had asked you back then, who is Mary Caldwell? How would you have responded?
Well, I'll always say I have no talent musically. So I worked with Bobby. So I was lucky I got an early retirement from a big company I spent a lifetime with. And I went into business with Bobby. So we were together 24/7. I mean, at home, on the road. And I was extremely happy back then.
Okay. Now here we are, a year later. Who is Mary Caldwell?
I'm not really sure. I am different. I feel empty, kind of lost. When you're with someone for 20 years like that, and all of a sudden they're gone, there's a real big void there. So I guess you could say I struggle. I mean, I try to do things. We have jam sessions. My daughter and I have been traveling, and I try to, go have dinner with my girlfriends and work on the music stuff, which I want to do more of because I have sat and cried many, many days and hours. So I guess I'm a person missing her better half, and that's just how it's going to be.
You know, a lot of people may not be aware of how Bobby passed away, and you've turned your grief into advocacy. These are my words, urging people to research medications and question their doctors. Can you talk a little bit about that and what you're doing with that right now?
Well, back when Bobby had the head cold, was the beginning of 2017. It was my birthday, as a matter of fact. And he ran to a doctor and got an antibiotic and a cough syrup. And I thought nothing about that. And 7 days later, he couldn't get out of bed. He couldn't stand up. He had horrible pain. And I was dumbfounded. And then I remembered he was on medicine. So I looked it up. Uh, it's called fluoroquinolone toxicity from certain antibiotics that are in the family of fluoroquinolone antibiotics. They're like super harsh, really strong. And I knew nothing, we blindly trusted, always, never questioned anything. But this did such a number on him that it ruined his life, ruined my life, ruined the last 18 months of my mother's life. My daughter moved back home to help me with Bobby. He couldn't walk. He'd get around the kitchen with a walker, and he still tried to do shows. So it was wheelchairs. I mean, we were pushing him and schlepping luggage and trying to get him on the stage. We'd sit him down. He couldn't move around. It really took its toll. And during that time, I frantically searched for a cure. I mean, we ran to more doctors than you could shake a stick at. I talked to numerous physicians, domestic and even abroad, and there was no cure for Bobby. And, it left me with, I guess, this drive to make sure something good comes out of Bobby's suffering, that nobody needlessly suffer from these side effects when I believe in many cases it could and should have been avoided. It, and I'm not some scientist, but and I'm not saying they should pull the drugs off the market because I do believe there's a purpose for them. But the issue is understanding when to use them and when to refrain. Um, Based on what I've seen over these years, talking with people write in, we've met people. Um, Oftentimes, that's the first drug they're given, and if you do the research or even just look at what the FDA says, it's like use it as a last resort. Try more milder antibiotics before you break out the big gun, which is what those antibiotics are. So I'm at the point now, I mean, I couldn't save Bobby, but I'm at the point now where I am more than willing to talk to anybody who'll listen and, bring awareness to this, not just with the general public, but hopefully with physicians. And I've made inroads with some physicians, those who are open-minded and physicians that are truly committed to the art of medicine, not just kind of homogenizing medical care. And, so hopefully word will get around and the drugs will be used, properly.
Wow. I mean, I'm thinking as I'm listening to you, that could have easily happened to me or anybody I know. Most people, you go to your doctor, you assume that the doctor knows what he or she is talking about, that you got a runny nose or some flu symptoms, and they say, hey, take this. I probably would have done the same thing.
I would have.
Yeah. There's no
Yeah,
doubt.
Bobby did. He did.
Yeah.
He trusted.
I put together a 5 minute or so montage of people all around the world doing Bobby's music, and for some people, exploring that music for the first time. I want to show you what that compilation looks like and get your reaction.
Great.
I guess you wonder where I've been. I searched to find the love within. I came back to let you know what I think for you, and I can't let go. My friends wonder what is wrong with me. Well, I'm in the days from your legacy. I came back to let you know I've got a thing for you, and I can't let go. Some people go around the world for love, and they never find what they dream of.
People go around the world for love, and they may never find what they dream of. What you won't do for love. You tried everything, but you don't give up. In my world, only you got a thing for love that I would not do.
My friends wonder what is wrong with me. Well, I'm in a daze from your love, you see. And I came back to let you know, got a thing for you, and I can't let it go. Some people go around the world for love, and they may never find what they dream of. She won't do for love. You tried everything, but you won't give up. In my world, only you make me do for love what I would not do. My friends wonder what is wrong with me, yeah, but I'm in a daze from your love, you see.
My friends wonder what is wrong with me. Well, I'm in a daze from your love, you see. I came back to let you know, got a thing for you, and I can't let go. Some people go around the world for love, but they never find what they dream of.
My friends wonder what is wrong with me. Well, I'm in the days of your love, you see. I came back to let you know I got a thing for you, and I can't let go. You cannot love, well, I bet you. Yeah, I bet you. You cannot love, but I bet you. Oh, I feel it. Some people go around the world for love, but may never find what they dream of.
So, how does it make you feel when you see a new generation of people, 40 plus years later, singing and interpreting and experiencing Bobby's music?
I love it. I love it. Bobby, people would ask Bobby, do you get annoyed or disappointed when people cover your songs? And he'd always say, are you kidding me? It's the greatest form of flattery. And it truly, truly is. To see the young people learning the music for the first time, it's as if it's brand new. And the fact that they like it, that's really touching. That makes me happy.
Let's name drop. Tick off a few names of people who've, sampled or used Bobby's song.
Well, there was Tupac, right? Which is just like legendary. Common, Biggie, and there are others that have covered the songs. Uh, Recently, there was a pretty little gal who did a mashup of Bobby's What You Won't Do and the Foo Fighters. I think the song's Everlong. And she did this mashup on YouTube. Her name's Elise Trow. And it was really cool. It caught on YouTube. We met her years back after she put it out there. We met her in Hollywood, and she was on Jimmy Kimmel, in fact, doing it. So it's great. It's fun to watch.
Who are some of the people who influenced Bobby?
Who I would have to say it started with his mom and dad. They were singers, dancers, they were showbiz, and they would have parties and they'd sing, and they had a TV show back on, it's so old, the Dumont Network, like way back in the infancy of television. They did a show out of Pittsburgh. So Bobby heard a lot of Sinatra. I'd have to say that was Frank was huge for him. And it's kind of funny how Bobby ended up living in New Jersey for the last, like Frank was in Hoboken.
Hoboken, yeah.
So he loved that. But then came the Beatles. He was obsessed with the Beatles.
Really?
Oh, he would sit in his room when he was about 13, during that early teen era.
Beatlemania.
Well, he wasn't into sports or anything. He painted his room black, which didn't thrill his parents. And he'd sit in that room, and he told me he learned to play every Beatles song on the guitar, even B-sides. Like,
Wow.
He was obsessed. But then, he came out of his shell, and I know he loved Hendrix. Hendrix was like a god. And then he branched out more to like the R&B. Earth, Wind, even till the day he died, was play that Earth, Wind again. We would watch footage of their concerts, and he loved Maurice White.
Didn't Maurice
And
White give him a kalimba?
he did. And
Yeah.
he used it on his first album, a song called the Kalimba Song.
Yeah.
It's brief. It's one of, I think, the only instrumental song Bobby ever put on an album. So, yeah, he was very much into Earth, Wind. He loved Steely Dan. He loved Broadway. I mean, he loved all kinds of music, all kinds of people. He everything about him was musical.
Yeah. I mean, I remember the first time I heard that song, I just assumed it was some cool black guy. And then I was watching TV. It may have been Bandstand. And I said, oh, let me watch Bandstand and see who this Bobby Caldwell is, because I love the song. And man, he came out. I'm like, get the hell out of here. Wow.
Me too. Me
Yeah.
too. I always thought he was a black man. And I thought I knew what he looked like. Hearing the song, I don't know how I got this image that I knew what the man looked like. And then I was corrected when I went to a show in Vegas, The Rat Pack is Back.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought the name was on the marquee, Bobby Caldwell, and I thought it sounded familiar. And he was playing Frank. And he came out on that stage, and I was blown away. And then I looked him up. It was the early days of like internet. I looked him up. I'm like, oh, it's that guy? I, did, because Bobby really was two different singers. He was R&B, and then he'd go off and do this American songbook stuff. So
Yeah.
he was, and I think that was one of the issues he struggled with, was that what genre is he? You
I'm
know,
sure, I'm sure the record companies probably struggle that way too. How do you market this guy?
yeah, yeah,
He struck me like he had a sense of humor. Did he have a sense of humor?
yeah. He was funny. I mean, you can't spend 20 years 24/7 with a person, at least I couldn't, that didn't have a sense of humor. He was hilarious. And he was very didn't really agonize over things. He was he went with the flow, didn't, let anything really ruffle him. And I'll tell you what, though, when you put a camera on him, like on a talk show, he was hilarious, really funny.
Yeah, I mean, that was my sense that he had a good sense of humor. And he was with a roster of talent, with TK. I mean, I'm like, wow, the roster of talent down there. I'm like, man, that's a KC and the Sunshine Band, George McCrae, Anita Ward. I mean, a lot of good talent down there. So,
Yeah,
man.
yeah. And that was like a last ditch effort, because he he had moved to Los Angeles with a bunch of his musician buddies. They had a band, and they became the band for Little Richard way back in like the early 70s. And then the band broke up, and Bobby was writing and trying to get a record deal, trying to get a deal, nothing. So he went back home to Miami, and he was considering going into real estate with his dad, hacking it in. But his mom said, why don't you go over to that TK Records in Hialeah? And, mom knows best. He had like a shopping bag with cassettes, and he went there and he met a guy named Steve Alamo, think he was like a big music guy. And he's like, "Oh, you wrote all this?" And Bobby's like, "Yeah." And the next day he signed with them and did the first album. And Bobby said he was very proud. He's like, "Okay, it's done." And they listen, the record company guys, and they go, "Yeah, that's nice, but we don't hear a hit. Go back in the studio." So he went back in with his buddy Alphonse Kettner, and within like a day, they did What You Won't Do for Love.
Wow.
So, yeah,
That's an
that was
iconic
lucky.
song. That's an iconic song. Oh
Yeah,
my
I think he's
goodness.
good under pressure.
Yeah. You know, what do you want people to get or learn from listening to Bobby's music?
You know, I just want them to get feeling good. I mean, music to me is an escape where you just enjoy it. That's really it for me. I want to listen to music and just not think about anything negative and just have fun. And that was Bobby's mission. He just wanted people to have a good time, relax, chill, and enjoy the music.
Wow. That is great. As I think about where you are now, what's your biggest challenge moving forward? I know that's tough.
Oh yeah, it's learning to live without him. And that's really tough. Um the toughest time is when things are quiet.
Mm.
I just I've cried every day, and I don't think I'll ever stop. So I got to push myself to keep busy. So, and that's a challenge.
Are you involved with the music, the estate to keep his memory alive, working on stuff like that?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And recently I said to myself, you can't just sit here and cry. So yeah, I'm working on some stuff and
Okay.
actually found cassettes of unheard music.
Oh wow.
Which
All
is,
right.
yeah,
Vault.
yeah,
Been in the vault. Okay.
yeah, it's really cool. Way up in the kitchen cabinet. Bobby would store stuff like really high, and the kitchen cabinets go to the ceiling. And I knew there was something up there. And when his friend from Japan came, he's very interested, everything Bobby. And I'm like, I know there's a box up there. And we climbed up, pulled the box out, and I went, oh, there's something here. So we'll see.
All
That just
right.
happened. So
All right. Good.
yeah,
All right. That's exciting. Gives us something to look
it
forward
is.
to.
It is.
Here's my final question. How can we support you? How can people support you?
Oh. Well, I'd like to thank, I think it was a young girl that recorded her chocolate covered strawberries on her bedspread on I mean, that's like unbelievable. The whole TikTok thing is tremendous. I mean, he's on the Billboard chart.
I know.
But um, I I always say this, young people, he has a treasure trove of songs. Cover them. If you're looking for material, cover his songs. And if you're prescribed any medicine, be careful. Ask questions.
Wow. Mary, it has been great. This interview is going to go up on all of our social media platforms. And anytime you want to talk about Bobby, you have something new, or when you all get that vault thing going on
Yeah.
and you have some new releases, you know how to find me. You know how to find me. Let's just do it. It's been a pleasure talking to you about Bobby Caldwell.
Thanks,
And
Gary.
yeah, so, uh, ladies and gentlemen, Mary Caldwell, Bobby Caldwell lives on. Thank you, Mary.
God bless. Thank you.
How long have you been away? Oh, how long? I can't find the words to say. Yeah, I've kept your picture on my shelf, only there to remind myself. Oh, I have always cared for you. Do you still